All right, hi everyone. This is Will from the Anastasia Island branch. I'm here with local pilot Patty Wagstaff, and we're going to do a very quick interview on what she does and how she got into it. So, good morning, Patty. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
So, I guess the first question is, how did you become a pilot, let alone, the type of pilot that you are?
Well, I was brought up around aviation, and I think you'll find a lot of pilots, especially airshow pilots, were come from aviation backgrounds. So it wasn't anything new to me to learn to fly. I took lessons. I was living in Alaska, out in a small town in Southwest Alaska called Dillingham, and took lessons, and one thing led to another.
How did
It's
you,
usually how it goes.
yeah. So, I mean, because there's, airline pilots, there's of
Right.
various types, but you do aerobatics, like, or you did at some point.
Oh yeah, I do them every day,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much. My dad was an airline pilot, so I grew up around the airlines, and my sister's an airline pilot. And when I was growing up, I told my parents I wanted to be an airline pilot when I was about maybe a little bit before 12, and they said, "Well, girls can't become pilots, so forget that." But my sister, who's 9 years younger than me, when she said that about the same age, I want to be an airline pilot, they went, "Oh, great. Okay, girls can now become pilots." It was right at that age group. And, or that cutoff. Women started being allowed to fly, airliners in the 70s, I believe. I forget the exact date when that started, but when that started. And then, so she had that opportunity, but it was never in my mind that I would have any kind of career. I thought I would just have a lot of experiences and do a lot of different things, which I've done. So
Mhm.
when I started flying, I didn't really have a clear path. I was lucky to be flying in Alaska, where we had a student loan program that was very, very generous with easy repayment at the time. And so I got all my ratings. I got my commercial, my instrument, instructor, multi-engine, seaplane, with this incredible loan program. And um, and then I didn't know where it was going to lead. My husband was a lawyer and also a pilot, and I said, the only thing I really think I'd be interested in is aerobatics. I really want to try aerobatics. So we went to an air show and a competition and had a look, and I said, yeah, these are my people. I can see that this is something I want to do. And I took lessons with a woman in Alaska that was giving lessons at the time, and bought a little airplane. And every step of the way, it was just one step at a time. It was
Mhm.
like, okay, now I have this airplane. I'll go practice and learn how to do this. But then what? What if I don't like it? What if I don't want to do it? My husband said, just do one contest, one air show, see how you feel. You don't have to do any more than that. And I started teaching a little bit, and I did one, and one led to another, and then here I am many years later. So, you never know where things are going to lead. I mean, I guess if you're an airline pilot, you have a really clear path.
Mhm.
In some careers, in my career, I had no idea where it was going to go. And that wasn't the point. The point was just to do it.
Right. So, what's your favorite plane that you've ever flown?
I've flown a lot of planes. The P-51 Mustang is one of the most exciting planes I've ever flown. But I think overall, the extra that I fly, the aerobatic plane
Mhm.
that I fly, is the most amazing airplane. It's got great harmony of controls. It's capable of doing anything you can think of. It's very strong, very safe. So overall, it has to be the extra. The extra aircraft is built in Germany at the extra factory. Walter Extra is the designer. He oversees everything. And they're imported here to St. Augustine, where the dealer is at Southeast Aero at the airport, where our school is based. And so all the extras that come to the States come right through here in St. Augustine. A lot of people don't know that.
No, I didn't know
Which
that.
is
That's
why
pretty
I
cool.
got here, how I found out about St. Augustine many, many years ago. I moved here in 97, and I first came here in 93. I'd been to Southern Florida a lot because my grandmother lived there, but and the extra dealership was in Pompano Beach, and then it moved to St. Augustine in 1993, and I bought an airplane here. So I'm like, oh, this is nice. and there's an aerobatic box we can practice here, and there's aerobatic pilots. So when I was ready, wanted to change from where I was living, I moved here because of all that.
What has been your favorite show to participate in?
I can't say I really have a favorite because they're all
Mhm.
so different. I like
Right.
the variety of flying air shows and flying around the world. I've flown, um, I flew a show in the Gobi Desert a couple of years ago. It was amazing. Oshkosh, the big, um, huge fly-in that they have every year, gets 600, 700 plus thousand people, 12,000 airplanes. Many people fly in even just for the day sometimes. um, it's amazing to fly there. So it's been a real honor to be invited to fly there. You have to be invited, of course. um, but I like the little country shows where
Mhm.
you're just, even some of them have grass strips. You go out there and there's people, and they're in the middle of Podunk, Iowa, or North Carolina, and that's, it has more carnival atmosphere. Those are really fun. And flying shows in, say, Washington D.C., where you have to get permission to fly into this very restrictive airspace, and then getting in there and being given your 15 minutes to rage around and fly low level and do anything you want in front of the crowd is pretty incredible too. So they're all different, and they're all like pretty exciting and cool in their own way.
So, do you have a particular stunt you enjoy doing more than others?
It's funny. So what we do, we consider precision aerobatics,
Hmm.
and stunt flying I do too. Stunts are something you do once or twice, and like for a movie or setup, something like jumping over the Grand Canyon in a motorcycle, which I don't do, but that's a stunt. But I guess what you'd consider a stunt, and part of what I do, is an inverted ribbon cut. So I cut a ribbon with my propeller upside down about 20 feet off the runway. And I have people out there holding these poles. And so I do that at most every show that I fly. And I really enjoy doing that. It's fun. It takes a lot of precision. It's ultra hyper focus. And every day is a little bit different. Sometimes you have a crosswind. Sometimes you have a lot of wind. Sometimes it's bumpy. Sometimes it's not. So that's pretty exciting.
So, this is just me assuming. So, is it safe to assume that there's just certain days, depending on the winds, that there's just certain maneuvers you can't do?
You can do all the maneuvers, and you can do those in any day. You just
Okay.
deal with the winds, and you get very experienced at it and correcting for the wind. And because you can't fly over the crowd, and you have to be really careful about that.
Right.
um, the ribbon cut, there have been times when I haven't done it because it's just been too bumpy, or some air shows. There's a show in Stewart, Florida, that I've flown, and the air show box is sort of a V. It's not just a straight line, so you have to sort of come in and turn, and it gets really bumpy down in there sometimes because there's trees on both ends. And there have been times, the last time I flew there a couple of years ago, I didn't do the ribbon cut there. You just get to the point where it's not worth it. The risk versus reward, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely there's some things that you can't do. And sometimes you fly over water, like Jacksonville Beach Air Show. You're over the water, you can't do ribbon cut over the water. And so, you have to adjust everywhere you are.
Um, it's just I'm trying to like wrap my head around this, just because you fly these particular types of planes. My dad was a helicopter pilot, so all these types of maneuvers are not possible. So it's just,
Well, you
well,
can do aerobatics in some
yeah,
helicopters.
you can, but
Yeah,
some of the stuff, it's like he did military stuff. So
yeah, yeah.
it's just,
Most of them are.
yeah, it's just I like how we have this wide variety of devices that can fly, and how different people have taken them and it's like, oh, can I do this thing?
Yeah,
So it's just really cool to see, like, in all the variety of pilots, and what they prefer to fly and
absolutely.
stuff. So
Yeah, I agree with that
yeah.
100%. That's exciting to me. I mean, like here at our school, we get pilots come from all over the world, and we get pilots who are ag pilots. They fly crop dusters,
Hmm.
airline pilots, military pilots. Some people just do charter work, and some of them are seaplane pilots, and that's you can take it anywhere. You know, you get your license, become a commercial pilot, you can take it any direction you want. Some people, they don't care. My sister, who flies, she's an airline captain, has been for a long time. She doesn't care about aerobatics, but she
Yeah.
loves flying the airlines.
Yeah.
So it is. It's really nice that, and that yet we still all have something in common.
Right.
We
So
can learn from each
if
other.
someone were thinking about becoming a pilot, any type of pilot, what would your advice be if they didn't know anything, they didn't know where to start, on how to fulfill that goal that they have?
It's difficult for people who aren't, people like me who grew up around it. I was very comfortable going into a small airport and asking for lessons. If you didn't grow up around it, you don't know what the people are going to be like, and walking into a strange flight school kind of thing. But I would say with any of this stuff, just start. Just go find an instructor that you like. Find a flight school that you like. Get you want the vibe to be something that you like. You want to feel that people are friendly. You want to feel that they're professional, and have a good feeling about it. If you feel that your instructor isn't somebody you want to sit in a little tiny cockpit with for 60 hours or whatever it takes to 40 hours to get a license, then find another instructor. Don't worry about hurting somebody's feelings, because it's about you and your what you need as far as instruction. And there are some good instructors and some not so good instructors. Sometimes there's some people that just get their instructor rating so they can bill time, and they'll tell you that. And they can be an okay instructor, but sometimes not. Sometimes you want somebody that's maybe a little more mature. Some women want to fly with women instructors. I don't know that there's anything magical about women or men, being better or not, but some women want that. So, it's really up to you to find a place that makes you feel comfortable. And you find most pilots and most flight instructors are really nice, really welcoming, and you sort of have to look for that community on your own. If you have to drive a little further, then do it if you like the community that you're walking into. And there's a lot of flight schools around this area. I mean, we've got Florida Career Aviation Training here at St. Augustine Airport. There's Sterling up in Craig. There, Daytona Beach is pretty busy to fly out of, so I'd pick a smaller airport. But with anything, you just have to start. Just take it one step at a time, and it'll take you to where you want to go.
What has been, in all your different steps and how you navigated your pilot career, what has been, I guess, that moment where you're like, this right here, like, not your crowning moment, I don't want to say that, but what has been, I guess, the highlight of this career? You kind of like, well, I'm not sure if I want to do it, and ended up making it a lifelong thing. Like, at what point where you're like, okay, like, yes, this is what I'm doing?
I
And
think for me, it has evolved, into a lot of different facets of aerobatics and aviation for me. But the idea that you're up there in this incredible airplane doing aerobatics, it's so three-dimensional, and it's such a feeling of freedom. And freedom's always been the most important thing to me. And it's very visceral, it's very physical, it satisfies so many things in a person to be able to do this kind of flying, that after I started getting into it and competing, doing a few air shows, so on and so forth, I realized I could keep setting goals in it and challenge myself for a long time without getting bored. And you can't say that about most things, at least for me. I need a lot of excitement and mean it for so long. I knew I could win the nationals. I knew I could get on the aerobatic team with the right attitude and the right hard work and practice and so on. I knew that I could set these goals and attain them, and the goals kept changing along the way. So And then probably the biggest overriding thing was that I was married. My husband was generous as far as helping me buy airplanes, but I knew I had to work really hard and get sponsors to continue to get the best airplanes. And that was the driving force. I never had, I didn't have this giant trust fund where I could just, which I think would have worked against me because it would have taken away some of the desire to work harder for the next best airplane kind of thing. So if that makes sense. So having to work hard, using, stay focused and always setting a new goal was what kept me going. And I don't know that there's a lot of things that you can do that still remain exciting and challenging over so many years. If so, I haven't found them. I'm sure that anything can be, but for me, this worked. So does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
I feel like I'm still getting better, and now with having a school, I can pass on a lot, and I'm finding just explaining things to students. I'm getting better at that. Finding ways to get a point across. I learn all the time about maneuvers and how to break them down and explain them, and it's that part of it's challenging too. So
Yeah,
it's always going to be a challenge.
Alrighty. So again, I want to thank you for agreeing to do this. It has been great, and hopefully at some point, we can maybe do something in person again.
Okay.
But until then, this is great. And I just want to thank you again for, agreeing to this interview so that our patrons who may not know that, you have the school here, that you have this career here, that you are local, understand that, St. Augustine is not just the historical aspects of the city. I mean, it's great, but we have all this other stuff that is going on.
Yeah, it's a really well-known aerobatic center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
From pilots all over the world.
yeah.
And pilots from all over the world do come here to fly, for fly aerobatics. So
Yep.
we have a guy here today from Germany who's flying. So, we're limiting our instruction right now, our students because of the pandemic. But anyway, so yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.